Hello and welcome back, folks. If you're new to the channel, then you're equally welcome. So let's get straight to it. If you're like me, you love your coffee. You're a coffee addict. I am. I possess 2 coffee makers, many types of coffee beans, pre-ground coffee granules, pre-ground coffee powders, and a litre tin of instant coffee. Very rarely used, but some people, they want a quick drink and they don't want a proper coffee, so they like the instant bit. Maybe you do. So anyway, I'm prescribed statins, ramipril, amlodipine, and clopidogrel. They're medications in order to preserve my life after losing 63% of my left ventricle of my heart, which is the part of the heart that pumps the blood round the whole body and with the oxygen as well. And without these pills, I'm told I wouldn't live. I have done without them for some time. I did collapse, and so I started taking them again, but I took them to much lower dosage than what is prescribed, and now I'm back on the full-time dosage to try it out. I'm feeling quite fit, but then I take a lot of minerals and vitamins that keep me going. I was supposed to be in a wheelchair in December 2012. Here I am in 2025, 13 years later, and I'm walking. I hike a little bit, I've done the videos you've seen around Hartwick Common and walk down the lakes and across the acres and acres of grounds, and it does. My legs ache rather than my heart, but I do get out of breath, and I get out of breath at times just talking to you. But that's besides the point. What the point is, so if I'm drinking these coffees and I'm having all these medicines, so what would you ask of me? Well, for many of us, the day doesn't really start until we've had our first cup of coffee. It's comforting, it's energising, and it's one of the most widely consumed beverages in the world. In my case, my coffee drinking starts first thing in the morning and it continues right up to late evening and perhaps a little later, but shh. But while your morning brew might feel harmless, it can interact with certain medicines in ways that reduce their effectiveness or increase the risk of their side effects. And most medicines and tablets do have side effects. My statins can affect my liver and cause it to go fatty liver and can cause cancers. And so my blood is tested every 4 months. I have a problem with my liver at the moment, so perhaps it's only a little problem. But perhaps I'll lower my statins by not taking them every day, but perhaps every second day. Who knows? I don't like taking tablets, and I'm taking so many, as you heard. I take 1 statin on the morning, 2 ramipril in the morning, 1 amlodipine, and 1 clopidogrel every morning. So perhaps I will reduce them. Shh, I haven't told the doctors. Okay, so coffee can affect the effectiveness of these pills, and of course it can increase the risk of side effects. Okay, with that out of the way, from the common cold tablets to antidepressants, caffeine's impact on the body goes far beyond the quick energy boost that we get. Tea also contains caffeine, but not in the same concentrations as coffee, and it doesn't seem to affect the people in the same way. But tea does contain caffeine. Many people don't seem to realise this, although it's well known. So here's what you should know about coffee and how it interferes with your medications and how to stay safe. Cold and flu medicines. Now, I never take these, but maybe you do. Caffeine is a stimulant. Yes, it gets you up in the morning, doesn't it? Which means it speeds up the central nervous system. Pseudoephedrine, a decongestant found in cold and flu remedies, I'm reading this, such as Sudafed, I've heard of that one, is also a stimulant. When taken together, so you've got caffeine stimulant and Sudafed stimulant, when taken together, the effects can be amplified. potentially leading to jitters and restlessness, headaches, a fast heart rate, and insomnia, lack of sleep. Many cold medications also already contain added caffeine, increasing the risk further. Some studies also suggest that combining caffeine with pseudoephedrine it's a hard word to say, isn't it, can raise blood sugar and body temperature, particularly important for people with diabetes. So if you're diabetes, beware. Cold medicines, flu medicines, and coffee. No. Stimulant effects are also a concern when combining caffeine with ADHD medications, such as amphetamines, or with asthma drugs, such as theophylline, which shares a similar chemical structure to caffeine. Using them together may increase the risk of side effects, such as rapid heartbeat and sleep disruption. You've been warned. So let me go over that one, because if you're being treated for ADHD with amphetamines or the asthma drug theophylline, they are similar to caffeine and can cause side effects of rapid heartbeat and sleep disruption. Okay, thyroid medication. Now my sister, she's not alive anymore, but my sister, she took thyroid medication. I don't know which one she took, sorry about that. Levothyroxine. The standard treatment for underactive thyroid is highly sensitive to timing, and your morning coffee can get in the way. Studies show that drinking coffee too soon after taking levothyroxine can reduce its absorption by up to 50%. So, I was hoping to give you some advice about that, but it seems don't take the medicine when you get up and then have a cup of coffee. Leave it an hour. Okay? Caffeine speeds up gut mobility, the movement of food and waste through the digestive tract, giving the drug less time to be absorbed, and may also bind it in the stomach, making it harder for the body to take it in. These effects reduce the drug's bioavailability, meaning less of it reaches your bloodstream where it's needed. This interaction is more common with tablet forms of levothyroxine, less likely with liquid formulations. So if you're on thyroid, you've had your warning. Don't take it soon after. If you take your medicine on the morning, leave it an hour and a half before you have your first cup of coffee. Okay, maybe you could have your first cup of coffee and have your what was it called, levothyroxine 2 hours later. Have your first coffee at 8 a.m. and have your medicine 10 a.m. just before you have your 11s. Right. If absorption is impaired, symptoms of hypothyroidism, including fatigue, weight gain, and constipation, can return, even if you're taking your medicine correctly. So, you've been warned again. Third warning, and this is just on your thyroid medication. The same time rule applies to a class of osteoporosis medications called bisphosphonates, including alendronate and risodonate, which also require an empty stomach and around 30-60 minutes before food or drink is taken. So I said an hour, didn't I? So there we are. Leave it an hour before you have your first drink after you've had these medicines. Antidepressants and antipsychotics. The interaction between caffeine and mental health medications can be more complex. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs, such as sertraline and citalopram, are the type of antidepressant medication widely used to treat depression, anxiety, and other psychiatric conditions. Lab studies suggest caffeine can bind to these drugs in the stomach, reducing absorption and potentially making them less effective. So if you're on an antidepressant or an antipsychotic medicine, caffeine is not the best thing to drink. Tricyclic antidepressants, TCAs, such as amitriptyline and imipramine, are a class of older antidepressants that work by effectively affecting the levels of neurotransmitters in the brain. They were among the first antidepressants developed and are less commonly used today compared with the newer antidepressants such as SSRI, as I mentioned, due to their potential for more side effects and higher risk of overdose. So they're not used very often, so I just mentioned it just in case. Now, TCAs, they used to break down the liver enzyme, but if you need to know that, I'll ask, do it on the comments and I'll give you the information. Painkillers. Are you on painkillers? Some over-the-counter painkillers, such as those contain aspirin or paracetamol, and we all know those, include added caffeine. Coffee can speed up how quickly these drugs are absorbed by accelerating how fast the stomach empties and making the stomach more acidic, which improves absorption for some medication, such as aspirin. While this may help painkillers work faster, it could also raise the risk of side effects like stomach irritation and bleeding, especially when combined with other sources of caffeine. Though no serious cases have been reported, caution is still advised. Heart medications. Oh, we're on mine. Heart medications. Caffeine can temporarily raise blood pressure and heart rate, typically lasting 3 to 4 hours after consumption. Well, because I'm drinking coffee all the time, and big mugs as well, mine doesn't have the opportunity to last 3 or 4 hours because it's constant. I'm red because I've been out in the sun. But it could be my blood pressure as well. But I mainly control my blood pressure at the right levels. And I check my blood pressure every two or three times a week. So I know I'm within the limits that doctors are currently stating. That if you look at the past history, doctors have stated their blood pressure points differently every decade. It's changed. And as I'm in my 8th decade now, I've seen a few changes. Some heart medicines. Caffeine can temporarily raise the blood pressure and heart rate, and it typically lasts 3 or 4 hours after consumption. For people taking blood pressure medication or drugs that control irregular heart rhythms, this may counteract the intended effects of the medication. This doesn't mean people with heart conditions must avoid coffee altogether, no, but they should monitor how it affects their symptoms and consider limiting intake or switching to decaf if needed. I like my coffee, I don't like decaf, but you may think differently and that's up to you. So what can you do? Coffee may be part of your daily routine, it is mine, but it's also a potent chemical compound that can influence how your body processes medicines. Here's how to make sure it doesn't interfere. Take levothyroxine or biophosphanates on an empty stomach with water and wait 30 to 60 minutes before drinking coffee or eating breakfast. I'm just repeating what I've said before so it comes in. If you're on antidepressants, antipsychotics or blood pressure drugs, discuss your caffeine habits with your doctor. Well, I did. Well, I didn't. He did. He and she, I've had many doctors. They all tell me, do you drink coffee? And I said, yes. Do you drink more than 1 cup a day? Oh, yes, I drink more than 1 cup every morning. And again in the afternoon and again in the evening. Maybe 3 or 4 at each session, and they go, oh, but I'm still alive 13 years later. But, I used to be a very fit and strong guy, and perhaps my body can resist a bit more than some others. Metabolism and so on, it affects us, doesn't it? So anyway, let's get on with this. Be cautious with cold and flu remedies, asthma treatments and ADHD medications, as caffeine can amplify side effects. Now, I do not have ADHD, I do not have asthma, and I do not get colds or flu. So I'm exempt from those. By the way, I've never been vaccinated either. Didn't have the COVID vaccines, refused them totally, and I didn't practice this anti-social distancing they called social distancing. But how can it be social if you're avoiding people? I didn't wear a mask, and I hugged and kissed people in my groups, and no problems there. But if you're on antidepressants or antipsychotic drugs or blood pressure drugs, discuss your coffee habits with your local MD, medical doctor, and they suggest using decaffeinated or reducing your intake. Now, everybody's metabolise caffeine differently, as I do. Some people feel fine with 3 cups. 9 cups, 10 cups, who knows? While others get side effects from just 1. Pay attention to how your body responds and talk to your pharmacist or your GP, your local doctor, your MD, if anything feels off. Yeah. If you're ever unsure whether your medicine or your coffee are a good match, ask your pharmacist or doctor. Have a short conversation. It might save you weeks of side effects or reduce treatment effectiveness and help you to enjoy your coffee brew every morning with peace of mind. Okay, I think that I was a bit sort of off the cuff and humorous there, but it is a serious subject. I seem to be exempt from a lot of these side effects, so I can afford to be off the cuff, but it may affect you. So now you know caffeine consumption can disinfect your medications. Check them out. And in the meantime, I want you to say something to you. Don't forget to subscribe. It doesn't cost you a penny, doesn't cost you a cent, doesn't even cost you a rupee. It's totally free to subscribe to this channel, so do so. Don't forget, press that button, smash that button, do the like button, and comments are always appreciated. And so, next thing I want to say is, be safe, be good, and goodbye from DJ, just for now, because I'll be back in a bit later. So, just for now, bye.